After months since I last made comments about Bannerlord that brought some great attention to my video, I want to return to properly talk about the game. Mount and Blade Bannerlord, or Bannerlord for short, is the third major installation to the Mount and Blade series. The game released early access on March 30th, 2020, as a series of massive events around the world were taking place. Not to lie, as I mentioned before, I thought the release was bare bones. I know the game was in early access, but still, after 8 years since its announcement, I was not impressed. But after a few months break, I returned to the game with rejuvenated eyes and post-update views, and feel the game has really fleshed out. Before we delve too deeply into my new opinions, we need to talk about what Mount and Blade Bannerlord even is. Bannerlord strives to do something extremely innovative, in combining a top-of-a-map view strategy game with a live-action component, like a more in-depth first-person Total War, mixed with Skyrim and a little bit of CK3. This has been the goal of all past M&BII games, but Bannerlord pushes closest to this extreme. The game extends across the mythical continent of Calridia, where you can run into forces eerily similar to historical realms, in a made-up, yet extremely enticing scenario. At the present timeline, the game is like a prequel in Calridia date to Warband, with the Calridic Empire shattered, but remnants still together. This empire parallels the Roman Empire in the real world. Similarly, nations like the Valandian, Kuzites, and Asurai all relate to real-world counterparts, Francia, Huns, Arabic tribes, etc. The game straight off the bat then is an interesting scenario that if invested in will yield great results. But this doesn't relate to how I felt the time invested by Terrorworld relates to the tangible differences from Warband. How I feel the game has changed after all these months. To start off, since the launch of the game, a series of updates have been instituted that have brought smoother gameplay, less crashing, and overall a large decrease in bugs. However, a much larger and more serious difference since early access versions and previous issues was the introduction of significant flavor across the many localities of the map, with many villages and towns being fleshed out with unique structures, peoples, and even missions. Cities themselves feel far more realistic and captivating when compared to initial early access, and there's far more immersion in the people, places, and landscapes. A general feature that I personally feel was well improved from Mount and Blade Warband was the combat, with much greater and larger battles that have more depth of choice in combat and more choice of units, allowing for crazy scenes from YouTubers doing all one specific unit to large mixed forces prowling around Calridia. Even recently, they began to work on making certain units more viable with Spearmen and the Spear Bracing update. One crucial note to point out here is that Bannerlord Vanilla, or with minimal modding, is better than Warband Vanilla. But Warband, with over a decade of modding experience, can take it to another, albeit slightly clunky, level. A lot of the times, game studios try to make their games accessible to the general audience, and the work that Bannerlord has done on this front to improve the game base is very impressive. Looking to the future, I think Terrorworld plans on continuing its world-building project, expanding into items including past Mount and Blade Warband mods, and building a world, maybe with DLC in the future, that is conducive to connection and investment from the player. All I know is in my past 2 multi-hour playthroughs, I had a blast. I think my general takeaways, almost a year and a half after Bannerlord initially released to public early access, is this. If you want an in-depth modded experience, you still need to look to Warband, as people have been looking for years. But Bannerlord Vanilla, or slightly modded, is a good experience that lives up to the work the dev team has put into it. Overall, if you want to run a medieval-like experience with minimal work, Bannerlord is definitely for you at the moment. Anyway, cheers guys. Tell me what you thought about this video essay style in the comments down below, and what games I should make next. Peace.